Welcome to VLearn. This is the session number 6 of part 2 on structure query language. The topic we will cover in this session are constraints and triggers, keys and foreign keys, cursors, and dynamic SQL. Now, what are constraints? Constraints are here some rules which we apply on the database to insert and extract the data from the table. Now there is this Oracle server that we use the constraint to prevent invalid data entry into the table also. And you can use constraint to the following thing are first, like enforce rule on the data in a table. Whenever a row is inserted, updated or deleted from the table, the constraint must be satisfied for the operation to succeed. Next, the prevent the deletion of a table if there are dependency from the other table. Like example, we can say if there are the two table exist and one table contains some data and another some data is contained into another table, we can extract the data from both and easily to insert data by using this constraint. There are the some constraints are type of constraint are not null, unique, primary key, foreign key and check constraints. Now let's see how we can apply this constraint on the database. First we start with the not null constraint. Not null constraints means to ensure that column contain no null value. जैसे कि एग्जाम्पल आपको अगर किसी स्टूडेंट का टेबल में डाटा एंटर कर रहे हैं, उसका नेम, एड्रेस, फ़ोन नंबर एंटर करना है, अगर आपको उसका कोई वैल्यू नहीं पता, अगर आपको उसका कोई फ़ोन नंबर नहीं पता, तो आप उस बॉक्स को खाली छोड़ नहीं सकते, उस सेल को खाली नहीं छोड़ सकते. दैट मीन्स देयर इज़ नॉट नल. वहाँ पे हम कोई ना कोई वैल्यू आपको एंटर करनी नेसेसरी है. तो वी कैन कीप एनी सच कॉलम विद सेल यू वांट टू बी नॉट टू बी नल. दैट्स व्हाई वी कैन यूज़ हेयर नॉट नल कंस्ट्रेंट. This is the example how can we apply not null constraint. In this example, create the table is the persons and with this are the column applied here in this table, and here the not null constraint is used in the last name field. Example, let's see how we can do it. Let's we open the again our SQL Server software. And here again in the last session we created the VC database already. We can again use this database. So now we will go to the again new query, and in the new query we can apply here various constraint like in the VC database I can create here new table with the help of constraint. Example, now I'm again taking a create table. Sorry, it's by mistake deleted the word. Create table. The table name can be give the persons already created. So you can give the one addition to change the name. After that, have to require to give the field name. Example, I give here person ID number. And its data type is int, and I can use here not null, comma. Next I can give here first name, can give here varchar data type and specify the size, comma, one field more can I give here, address, and I can give the data type again the varchar and its size is 255. Next I want to give here city also and the data type is varchar. These are the column which I given here in this the table. After the mention all column name, I can end this table. Now we will execute this query with the help of this execute button, and you can press F5 also to execute the query. Now you see the result here is command is completed successfully, means the table is created with the mention of not null. let's see the table from the here table folder. You can go and see here the table one more is created here with the name of persons 1, and in the person 1 you can see here columns are created: id, pid, first name, address and city. And see the data type which I mentioned here. In front of PID I mentioned not null, and other are by default automatically take their null value. Now here we can insert the data into the table, like as in the last class we mentioned how to insert data. We use the insert into and then table name persons 1 values. The first is required to process person ID name. We can use the 1 comma, next is the name. I give here Nitin. It should be in a single quote. Then address you can mention here just Pitampura and the comma, and after that is city. I give here Delhi. Now I closed it and want to execute this query. Just need to select it and execute this one. Now one row is affected, means one row is entered in your table. If I give empty any column, like next I want to insert more data and I just change its ID number 2, और जैसे कि हमने लास्ट टाइम इस जब टेबल क्रिएट किया था इस प्रोसेस आईडी में नॉट नल दिया था, यानी कि हम इसको खाली नहीं छोड़ सकते हैं. लाइक आई कीप इट एम्प्टी. Let's see whether it takes or not. Then execute the data. It show the syntax near this this colon. I can use here means that there's cannot leave it empty, or I can use here like this. Now if you execute this query, you can see the result what shows. It row is the affected. In this way, like what you see you want to see the data, you can see select star from persons 1. Let's see the result what affected in the table. Execute this query. Now you see here is the taken the value, second is the 0, and the same data is repeated because I use here single quotation. Single quotes means it takes some character value, so it takes some value. If I remove this quotes, then it will not accept that some data in this process ID column. Now after this I have to use the next constraint. Let's see what is the next was. After the not null, there is the unique constraint that we can apply. The unique key integrity constraint required that every value in the column or set of column be unique. It should not be repeated. Like you can apply the unique on the column name. The column name will contain the name. All name should be unique, not to be repeated name. So in this is no two row of a table will be can have duplicate value. In a specified column or set of column, the column included the definition of unique key constraint is called the unique key. Now, this is the example of the unique key. The create table again here with the name of person, and what changes is apply for the unique is right here the column PID not null, last name of the character varchar is the data type given here and mention not null. First name, address varchar, city varchar, and used here unique with the PID, and that is means unique keyword is used for process ID column. Means that column will take the all unique value not to be repeated, or you can apply unique also on any name also. Let's see how it work. Again I go to the here. This is the column, the table I created. I can again copy it and use this table again, but same table will not take because the name is given here. I can change the name by the 2 and just to need use the unique word. For the unique I have to apply here in the end. Unique we are applying in the column first required unique, then on the column which you want to unique. If I want column unique to be name, I apply the column name. So I write here f name. It take the unique, then close the table. Now we execute it. Table is created in our database. Now let's see whether data is take our double name or the same data again or not. Because unique apply, then it should not take the same name repeated. Again we apply here some insert into table query. Like I copy again the same query as run above. I just want to data enter here. 0 1 id given here. Now let's execute this query. There is the was syntax given mistaken here. Error is given here, incorrect syntax near the Delhi city, that not to be taken. Let's given change the value. Insert the person's one table value, like first given here in this column table created id number. I give here id, then first name Deepak, and after that address Rohini, after that city Delhi, and then we can now we can try to run it, but the table is changes required here. Person 1 is respect to change the person 2. Now let's see. One row is affected, data is inserted into the table 2. Now what we see, the again it will not take same repeated data. Like I want to change its id number, I can change it, but I want to keep remain same its name Rohini. Here I mentioned their sector 12 and Delhi. Now want to execute this query. Let's see the what will be its effect. Now it's give the error. What it said, the violation of the unique key constraint, means I apply here unique on the name, that's why it will not take. Now if I will change the name, it will accept this data. I place with the name of the Rahul. Now see the what will be the result. If now you will execute, the row is affected. Now it's take your value into the table. Now let's see what will the result of the table by using of select star from persons 2. Now execute this query. Now you see the result 2 row affected in their table. Similarly, this was the key constraint we apply on the data is the unique key. Now the next is the primary key constraint. Primary key constraint is like a unique, it accept a single value not to be repeated again, and it will not accept the null value also. Now, this is the only one primary key that is created in the each table, that is also necessary. Unique can be applied more than one column, but the primary key contain only one column in a one table. The primary key constraint is a column or set of columns that uniquely identify each row in the table. This constraint enforces uniqueness of the column or column combination and ensures that no column is the part of the primary key can contain a null value. जैसे कि आपको बताया गया है कि टेबल के अंदर एक ही कॉलम में हम प्राइमरी की लगा सकते हैं. प्राइमरी की भी हमारे एक यूनिक वैल्यू ही एक्सेप्ट करता है और नल वैल्यू एक्सेप्ट नहीं करता, बट यूनिक कंस्ट्रेंट हम मोर देन वन कॉलम पे अप्लाई कर सकते हैं. एंड यूनिक कैन ऑल्सो बी टेक नल. नाउ लेट्स सी द एग्जाम्पल हाउ वी कैन अप्लाई प्राइमरी की कंस्ट्रेंट. Here again the same data is repeated, but changes made here only in the last. We use the keyword primary key and inside the bracket mention the column on which we apply primary key. Let's see how the result executed show the effect. For the primary key we can use again same created table data and just made changes on above query. Again, here I am removing the unique keyword, and you will use here primary key. Here primary key, and in the bracket the column on which you are applying p underscore id, and there one more bracket will be closed for ending the column. Now change the table name, because this is the already created. 3 the name is given. Now let's execute this query. Not null you can be removed from here, because it's automatically the rule of the primary key, it will not take the null value. Now if I remove this not null from here constraint, then see the result. I execute this query. From this execution, now the command is completed successfully, means the table is created with the here the primary key. Now let's see the after inserting the value what it will affect. The same value I want to insert, just need to change the table name. Now execute this query. Inserted that already I executed in the last table. One row is affected, right? Now if I remove this one, let's see what will be the result. Execute this query. Here it will not accept this one. If I give a single quote, now it will execute. Let's see what will be the effect of this. The table query executed. Want to see the person table 3. Here is the when I execute the Basel 3, it mentioned the value 0 by default. If I remove this one, now similarly you can make your table column primary key value, and if I repeated the same id number, like I last entered the 13, if I again mention here 13, whether it will accept or not. I execute this query. Now it shows the primary key constraint on this table cannot insert duplicate key in this object of this table. This was the effect of the primary key. Now this was the example of the primary key. Next the constraint is the foreign key. Foreign key कहते हैं जब हम किसी एक टेबल की प्राइमरी को किसी और दूसरी टेबल में रेफरेंस करते हैं, तो वहाँ पे वो फॉरेन की कहलाती है. एग्जाम्पल जैसे कि हमने 2 टेबल बनाए हैं. एक टेबल स्टूडेंट की नेम में है, जिसका उसमें उसका रोल नंबर, नेम, एड्रेस लिया है, और दूसरी एक टेबल में जिसके सब्जेक्ट्स के मार्क्स हैं. तो हम उस 2 टेबल से डाटा फेच कर सकते हैं. जैसे कि एक्सपेरिमेंट जैसे मैंने रोल नंबर एंटर किया है, सेम उसके सब्जेक्ट के मार्क्स हमारे दूसरे डाटा टेबल में फेच करना चाहते हैं उससे. तो वन थिंग, कॉलम शुड बी सेम इन बोथ द टेबल, एंड the first table where the primary key is created, the reference can be from another table, that is called in another table is the foreign key. The foreign key is the reference integrity that constraint designate a column or combination of column as a foreign key and establish a relationship between a primary key or a unique key in the same table or different table. This is the example how we can create the foreign key. फॉरेन की के लिए हमें एक और नेक्स्ट टेबल की ज़रूरत है, जिसके अंदर हम प्राइमरी की को रेफरेंस करते हैं, कॉल करते हैं, जिसके थ्रू हम डाटा को फेच कर सकते हैं. लाइक हेयर इन द ऑर्डर टेबल वी क्रिएट हेयर ऑर्डर आईडी दैट नॉट बी नल, ऑर्डर नंबर, and the one table which was already in the person table again taken here PID, and here the mention the primary key is created in this order table by order ID, and foreign key is created on the PID, that is references from the person table. Now you can see how we can create by the practically how we can create the this foreign key. Now required to create one more table. So let's create one more table with the name of order. Create table order, and in the circle bracket I mention the column O underscore ID, not null. I forget here to mention its data type. Int. After that, uh, can give order number. In the short we use num and give data type int. Again you can keep it not null. Now require the for reference the same column in persons table, that is p underscore id data type. Now we can create the primary key in this table as also. Primary key I created here on the column p order id. Now foreign key can be created foreign key. Now the sorry here the spelling is the mistaken. FOER. Now in the foreign key, next on foreign key, in the apply the table p underscore id. Now the references from where table? References contain the table from which it is called persons. The three already in the 3 table we created it primary key persons 3 and the column is id PID. Now let's execute this query. Here is was the mention the syntax anchor syntax near the keyword the order. Create table order. Let's see the change the name, maybe already exist, and create table order. The it's not taking the value like near the syntax near the consum data here which I entered. O underscore id is not null, and here the shown the you can see the line 5 is the mention here 1 2 3 4 5 the prime order id is the mention primary key is the wrong because I used here hyphen and I need to be underscore. Now let's see the result. And I just replace it's just by name of only order. Select the query and execute it. Let's change it's the near the keyword the naming mistake. Order. I just keep it name ORE. Let's take whether it's taking or not. References is the mistake mention is the person's name id is the mistake is the line 6 which is the mention here syntax near the references. Let's see we give here name again references. Now it will be the execute. The table is created here with the name of ORE. Now in this table you can insert the data that will be verified with the table of the primary key which is already created. Now this was the way example how we can create the foreign key. Now the one of here is more constraint is check constraint. Check constraint define the condition at that each row must satisfied. Means you are entering some data, you are entering like you are taking roll number that should be greater than 100. मतलब पहले वो चेक करेगा कि आपके मार्क्स 100 से ज़्यादा नंबर डालो तो ही वो एक्सेप्ट करेगा, अदरवाइज नहीं करेगा. Here the example how we can apply the check constraint. Again the same at the time of creating table it's and use the check keyword and in the bracket mention the column and as well as condition also that is mentioned here like greater than 0. So it means it will be the value should be greater than 0. Let's see how will be the result. Again I back to the my software, and here I will take out the same query as we executed the table persons one. Now here I take the same query. The name of table I will get changed to be by 4, and here the constraint I will apply. On order we are going to apply check constraint. For check I write to keyword check, and in the bracket p underscore id, that should be greater than 0 value, and greater than 0 value. Let's see to execute it. Sorry, the table is not closed here, that's why it's mentioned this bracket error. Now let's see execute it. The constraint, see the previous here. Now the error was the column check constraint, the column city references with the table of the person 4, and that could not create the constraint. See the previous error. Now I can make here it removed to be not null, can be removed here, and required to be comma, and the table id is can be given a 4. Let's see the what will be the result. Next, here was the again not taking into consider problem is the check constraint references of the column the persons 4, that maybe the table may be created, we can remove its the name 1 2 3, and the PID is mentioned, and the first name, address, city, check over the p underscore id, that to be greater than 0. Now let's see what will be the effect. Sorry, maybe the result. Let's see the again slide the view. What is the our mistake in the check constraint? There was the required create table persons. The PID is the not null. The last name was the again not null. This was the column that we apply, and the finally check constraint. Let's see the mistake in the check constraint. That is to apply the correct required this comma. We can use here comma. Now let's execute. Here the mistake of the comma and the query is executed by the check command. Now you can see the after inserting data whether its constraint is working or not. To insert the value in the table, this inserting query I am taking again the from here same. I copy this value and taking to execute data in this table. Now insert into the persons 1 2 3. The values are maintaining here, taking this value, and now execute this data. 1 row is affected. Now if I mention here rather than 1, I keep it as 0. Now if I will execute, the mistake they have the syntax error is given. The insert statement conflict with the check constraint, means the conflict that occurred in the database. We see that the table person 1 2 3 column PID, means check constraint we applied already, that data should be greater than 0, otherwise it will be not accept. This was the about the check constraint. Next is the default constraint, मीन्स यू कैन गिव एनी डिफ़ॉल्ट वैल्यू ऑन द डाटा. इफ़ अगर कोई वैल्यू आप डाटा में उसकी टेबल में नहीं डाल रहे तो उसके लिए कोई डिफ़ॉल्ट वैल्यू ले लेता है. जैसे कि अभी हमने किसी में आईडी नहीं डाला तो वो बाय डिफ़ॉल्ट 0 ले रहा था. तो इसी तरह आप अपने अकॉर्डिंग कोई और डिफ़ॉल्ट वैल्यू दे सकते हैं. जैसे कि इस एग्जांपल में आप देख सकते हैं क्रिएट टेबल किया गया है, इसके अंदर ये 3 कॉलम्स हैं एंड डिफ़ॉल्ट वर्ड इज़ गिवन हेयर डिफ़ॉल्ट, and when the quotation is given the Sundays, that is the word that is that is to be changed by default in the city. Now this can be we apply in our database. Let's see how we can do it. Here the we require the default constraint The again I'm making the changes the table we above created. This name is the changing here, and instead of check constraint, where we have to apply default. Like in the city, on city I am applying default to be Delhi. So here is required default, and with the default the that I mentioned here, Delhi. Now execute it. At the table is created by inserting the data. You can say here, if I will not give here Delhi and want to execute this data, insert data into the table. Sorry, doesn't require that change the table name, that is already executed. The table name is the 1 2. Now the one row is affected. Now you see the result, what is the data is affected in the table. Select star from persons 1 2. Now execute the query. You see here the city is the shown the empty, maybe the some the problem. Let's see the way the problem city I was given here. Default value is the Delhi and it's not taken here due to some mistake. I just remove it and the value get changed. Now if I execute this query, this required to be remove this. Now let's see the execute. Syntax is the error was the syntax error that column name and the number of supplied value does not match with the table definition because here is the required comma. क्योंकि डाटा हमारे टेबल में अगर आईडी नेम एड्रेस सिटी है तो हमें आईडी नेम एड्रेस एंड सिटी के अकॉर्डिंग देना होता है. If I give only comma, then it will be executed, and the syntax is the one more. Now choose the parenthesis, that is the circle bracket, required one empty, like this. Now if I execute, it will be consider the row affected. The result, let's see that to be after execution is taking that empty value. Let's see how where the we was the wrong here in the data. The default condition as we mentioned here with the single quotes and character is also mentioned. Let's see again to be execute the our data in the database. Insert into this value. Let's see the after changing some value more. Puja I mentioned here and I change its place with the Pitampura. And then I can give here single quotes and just remove it. I just given here single quotation quotes name, its ID number, its name, its address, and then I just give a single quotes and execute this query. Now let's see the effect. It's given as unclosed. It is unclosed quotes means where the some word quotes not clear, that is the name. Now see the whether the words result it's showing. One row affected and the result it's showing the empty. Maybe some their problem, let's we discuss about it in the next session what was the what their problem. We will clarify it the next class session. Now there was the triggers. Triggers is the basically a procedural code that automatically executed in response in the certain events. When you are entering data in some table, it automatically affected on other table also. That can be done by the trigger with the help of trigger. So trigger is mostly used for keeping the integrity for the information of the database. And the next one is the cursor. A cursor is a control structure Here, when you are working on the select query, it works with more than one row simultaneously on the with the help of select query, and the cursor is control over this data. Now here the database cursor is control structure that enable the traversal over the record in the database. Cursor facilitate subsequent processing in the conjunction with the traversal. Such a retrieval, addition and removal of database record. The database cursor characteristics of traversal make cursors again into the programming language concept of iterate. Again, we can use the mainly the purpose of here telling that the cursor we can use effectively work on the database to more than one row simultaneously. After that, there is the dynamic SQL. We can make some dynamic effect in the runtime also. For the dynamic SQL, there is the SQL programming technique that enable you to build the SQL statements dynamically at runtime. So you can create more general purpose flexible application by using dynamic SQL. Because of the full text of SQL statements unknown completion. For example, dynamic, let's you can create the procedure type of function that work and that make the some dynamic in your programming until the runtime. This is on the table whose name is not known until the runtime. Next, the one is the Oracle include two way for implement the dynamic SQL by the help of PL/SQL action application. Native the dynamic SQL where you place dynamic SQL statement directly into the PL/SQL blocks and calling process in DBMS SQL package. That's all in this session. This is the exercise you can try by yourself with the use of structured query language and explain the term of DDL, DML and DCL. Thank you.